PowerPoint. And so without any further ado, here is Miss Ivory to provide.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to have you here. So we're going to venture out into something new, not just for you guys, but for me as well. So the training today is on the banking services available for small businesses. And I will share with you the FDIC information, and I will be upfront with you. I have never owned a business, but I have poured through the information in the presentation, and I think you'll find it interesting in helping you determine whether or not you would like to own your own business and how you can begin to start doing so. So let's get started. Next slide.
Can you see it?
Just the first one, not the next one.
Really? It's not?
Me neither.
All right, so then I'm gonna have to stop and resume sharing.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. I can see it now.
You can see it now?
Yes. Hi, Juanita. This is Mariel. Yes, I can see it.
All right, perfect.
It says resume slideshow. I'm still seeing the first page.
You're still seeing the first page?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to make it full screen, Juanita.
Can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right by the minus sign, there's a little item there. You can click on it, it'll make it big. You might have to reshare again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reshare because it's not allowing it. Stop sharing now. And then we're going to reshare. Wait. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am. That's perfect.
Yes, that looks great now.
Yes, it does. So our learning objectives are, for you guys, are benefits of building effective long-term relationships with banking institutions. I think we've probably had a session maybe back a few months ago where we talked about who the folks were when you go into a bank. If you have some questions, you have branch managers and also lenders and business advisors. The other thing we're gonna learn and talk about today is the factors that you should consider when you're selecting a financial institution, because it's gonna be different from when you were selecting one for your personal finances. This is one that you will be focused on for your finances related to your business. So there will be certain offerings and things that a bank would have for you to be able to leverage as a small business, okay? We're also going to talk a little bit about features and advantages and risk associated with financial services and products and types of financing options and lenders. Next slide. So, factors to consider when evaluating financing options. Ways to improve your chances of getting a loan, including building strong personal and business credit history, keeping accurate business records, and understanding the 5 C's of credit. I'm going to go into that in a little bit. And ways to recognize and avoid small business fraud, scams, and cybersecurity risk. Okay, next slide. So you see a nice lady there and a gentleman, and I see 2 gentlemen, a couple ladies. And so the question is, what do you know? What do you currently know? And what do you want to learn? So can we stop here for a minute? For those of you who have joined the course, I wonder, what is it that you want to know about owning a business, and what is it that you currently know? And if it's like, I don't know much, but I want to learn X, that's fine, because it would help Miss Juanita and me as we finish this session, you know, figuring out what else you might need. So I'm going to open the floor up for a minute.
I want to learn this. Oh, sorry. I really want to learn how to open up a small business because I've always been interested in it. And I have a lot of friends that own their own business, but it's just like, how do you get started with doing that? So I'm really excited to learn what the elements are.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Anybody else? Thanks, Jonesy.
You're very welcome, ma'am.
Hi there. I was thinking the same thing. My parents owned a business while I was growing up, but I didn't have much involvement in what they did. Same thing with my sister. I kind of just want to learn how to build a good, lucrative business from the ground up, and just need to know how to start and how to keep going.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else?
Come on now. I know some of you have business already in your blood. You're already doing it. I'm going to call some of you out. Carlos?
I have a question.
Sure.
I already do house cleaning, but it's getting really tiring. So now I'm trying to see if I could open a restaurant.
Okay.
So how do you even start? I know how to cook, but the rest, I don't know how to do it.
Okay, so that's a good one. And then somebody said where to begin to get permits. Okay, so
I'm sorry.
What I will tell you is that today we're going to learn the basics of dealing with banking institutions because most small businesses have to leverage finances from a bank. So we're going to get through that today, but Ms. Juanita and I are going to take back your concerns around beyond establishing that relationship with the banking institution. What else do I need to do? How do I grow from having a cleaning service to maybe a restaurant? So we'll think about that and try to offer more sessions in this space. But those are very good.
Can I
Sure.
share something, if I may? This is Mariel.
Absolutely.
And I started my business in 2015.
Okay.
And I went through this organization and the services are free. And upon graduation, you are entitled to a loan. The name of the organization is Acción. And this is for small businesses, all kind. I can send you the information and they have this workshop that is Acción Academy. You need to apply for it. It's free, but you pay $49 and that is refundable upon graduation. They return you back your money. But if you miss a class, you lose those $49. It's like a way to make a commitment. And they loaned me the money and they taught me all the ABCs, all the process, how to start a business, because I'm from Tijuana and I have a business in Mexico. And I thought that based on that, I was gonna be able to start a business here. It's completely different, 100% different. So I can send you all the information and yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. Thankfully, I was able to get in and that was amazing for me and it's free. And they loaned me $5,000 to buy my flower cooler. I have a business, flowers, but that was a great head start because I have no credit history and they don't care about your credit. They help you start or build or fix a credit. So they don't care if you have none or bad credit. They help you from scratch.
Can you take that class online?
Yes. Right now it's online. The Acción Academy is online and they are in process of changing the name, but still is with Susan Carson. I can send all the information. And again, it's free. And oh my gosh, that was a lifesaver for me because I had 3 children and if I work anywhere else, I was gonna spend all my money just paying for childcare. So having my own business, I always take my kids with me and they help me and they learn to do flower arrangements and balloon decor with me. So that was a blessing for me. Owning my own business was just the best thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mariela. And for those
no problem.
of you that are in my Power of One program, we are able to provide you with the down payment, the 35, I think it's $45 to $75 for the Acción. And then once you get it reimbursed, you can use it for your business.
Oh, that's great, Juanita. It's Mariel without that A at the end. Mariel.
Yes, Mariel.
No, it's fine. But
I always say Mariela. I don't know why. Sorry, Mariel.
Yeah, but if you Google me, you're never going to find me with Mariela.
All right. Well, the good information, and thank you for sharing. This is good that you guys are sharing and talking with each other, because I think if you know Mariel and others who have owned a business, you can also learn from one another. So let's go to the next slide. Very, very good. Happy to hear this. So let's talk about banking services. Building your banking relationship is what we're going to focus on in section 1. Factors in selecting the right bank. Account services like checking, debit cards, savings, and other deposit accounts. And other services such as payroll services for employees and merchant services for those you may be receiving services from. Next slide. So section 1 is all about building banking services, building your banking relationship. So we've talked in the past a little bit about you guys building a banking relationship by visiting certain banking institutions and meeting with the representatives in those institutions so that they can learn what your objectives are in the finance space. However, what I would say is if you didn't do that, that's one thing when you went to a bank to set up your personal finances. I would not encourage you to skip the process of getting to know the people at the bank in which you decide to do business with. That's going to be very important for you in your business because things are going to happen and you need to have a personal relationship, at least a professional one, with the managers in the bank so that they know you and trust you and can help you in the event you need greater assistance. So in this session, we're gonna talk about meeting the bank staff, the loan officer, the account manager and or branch manager. We're also gonna focus on myths about banks. Some people might think banks don't want your business because you're too small of a business. Some may think that banks don't make small loans. Some may think that they need a perfect credit history in order to have a business account with the bank. And others may feel like the fees are not affordable. So we're going to, step outside of this and talk to you about the fact that a number of these myths are incorrect. So let's go to the next slide. So the first thing we're going to do is consider what your banking services needs are. What is it that you need from a bank? And the second question is, what should you look for when you're choosing a bank? So let's just get right into it. So the factors in selecting the right bank, there are 3 things you want to focus on: what you consider, research, and compare. So let's dive into that a little bit. Next slide. So when you're selecting the right bank, customer service is number 1. That's the first thing. If you go into a bank and there's chaos or the employees are not very knowledgeable or the people with whom you connect and meet are not very receptive, turn around and leave. You want an entity that you can feel like when you come in as a customer, number 1, they know you, they want to get to know you better, and they want to assist you. 2, you want to you need to have access to your accounts and money. We'll talk about that around more protections for consumers than there are for businesses, but there's still some things you can do to protect yourself. But the main thing is, as you are functioning and managing and running your business, you have to be able to access your accounts and your money quickly, because anything again can come up. Technology, that's a big thing for all businesses today. Obviously, everybody has to have some level of technology and some understanding of it as well. And then here you see specialized small business products and services. And the reason I highlighted this is because there are many, many banks out there in the ocean, but are they banks that have programs and employees that can assist you in acquiring small business products and services from them? So those are the ones you want to focus on. And they may not be the biggest banks, so don't worry about that. Next slide. So the basic FDIC deposit insurance principles, we've had some discussions previously about what the FDIC covers in terms of the accounts that you have in your name. So too are accounts for your business. So coverage is per depositor. A depositor may be any person that does not have to be, and it says it doesn't have to be a US citizen or a resident, which is great, or any legal entity, meaning a business, a nonprofit organization, and or a government agency. The other thing you should know is that the standard insurance amount is $250,000 per depositor, per insured bank for each account ownership category. So that's $250,000 for every account that you own. Next slide. So banking services and account services, there are many different types of these services. So you can have a business checking account, just like you have a debit card, that's a personal debit card, or you and your husband, you can have a business debit card or debit cards. Savings account, same thing. If you're saving for the company outside of your personal finances, you want to set up a savings account for the company alone. CD, certificates of deposit, retirement or other employee benefit accounts. If as your company grows, if you want to add employees who in fact will be asking for employee benefits accounts, you can set those up. You want business credit cards, that's a big deal. I don't know, many people probably don't use them today, but I find them helpful, and also you can figure out a way from a technology standpoint how to have your business flourish by putting information online. So there was a quick question and I wanted to take that, but Ms. Juanita, I didn't get to see it.
It's asking if a regular bank is better than a credit union.
So again, it's going to depend on the services that the bank and or credit union provides. There are some credit unions that are very expansive in terms of the services they provide. It just depends on where you're located and what your banks or credit unions have to offer. But there are some credit unions that help with business loans as well. You have to search for them, however. All righty. So you can also work with a banking service or a credit union or any kind of institution around payroll services for your employees. You may have a bank that has classes or something for small businesses around cash management, managing your cash. Merchant services, if it's a bank that's accustomed to doing business with small businesses, they'll probably have some other special services with various merchants, like how you can get maybe, let's say, office supplies or something like that, and all types of other services. So let's go to the next slide. So account services, the cost of services and transactions. You want to first go to the bank and check out the brochures and the fee schedules for features and service costs, including options for overdraft protection. That's a big one, especially when you are in business, because anything can happen and something can go awry, and you need to have the ability to make sure your check's clear for your employees, and not just for them, but also for the vendors and merchants that you do business with, because your business is on the line. Account disclosures. The brochures will probably help you with that, but you need to ask about account disclosures, and you need to ask about ways to get fees waived or reduced based on the volume of your business. So keep that in mind all the time when you're doing business. Everything is based on volume. So if you have a hefty volume, you may be able to get lesser fees than someone else, or fees waived. Next slide. Timing, ease, and security of payment transactions. So remember, I mentioned how important it is that you have an account and you know from the disclosures how many ways you can get to your money, because you never know when you have a business or an emergency. Payment transactions do not occur in real time. And writing a check or initiating a bank transfer when you don't have funds available can result in costly charges. So the accounts they're talking about would be your direct account or automated clearinghouse, debit and credit processing, also wire transfers, a debit block that could have an impact on you if there's a block on your account. Lockbox services are great because those you can typically access on the weekends and even late in the evenings. And remote deposit capture, which is just how you can move money around electronically or remotely. Next slide. So account services. So let's talk about the business checking accounts. The things you need to consider here is transaction volume, because that might determine the best account you get. Remember, I mentioned in the slide or two before, volume matters, okay? So anytime you're dealing with a bank or a banking institution, if they feel like you have some volume, they're gonna step it up and give you more grace, and they're gonna be more likely to work with you. No federal, state, and contract rules governing checks. So you want to make sure when you go to that institution that you have a clear command of the federal, state, and contract rules governing the checks that you use, because they will be very different from those that you use for your personal finances. Also, you want to know whether or not the bank uses information systems to evaluate applicants for checking accounts, right? This is an important one, because if you've had some sort of stain, if you will, for want of a better term, or something on your credit, you want to make sure that that doesn't hinder you from getting a loan per se. So this is a good segue to the next bullet that says many banks also have second chance checking accounts for individuals who performed poorly with prior checking accounts. And that's a good thing, right? Because a lot of us through our lifetime, we've had little blemishes with our credit or something, or missing a bill or something. And if the institution that you're working with is so hard on people like that, you probably won't be able to get a small business loan. So don't be afraid to ask if you do have some blemishes on your credit, or if you did have an issue with the checking account. Don't be afraid to ask, do you have a second chance checking account or program that I can go under to help me start my business? Okay, next slide. So as we mentioned earlier, you have your private debit account, but if you start your business, you can get a business debit account for that sole purpose. You want to have those things to consider: convenience and risk, ATM use, online and point of sale purchases, limited daily purchases and withdrawals, and various card holders. So you want to be able to, all this is saying is you want to be able to access the things that you need to run your business well. And so that includes all of these items here. And that debit card would be a convenience for you, and it's also less risky. Also, they mention, just as we've talked about in our personal finance courses, they have preloaded cards, which is an option instead of you having to maybe get additional folks to sign on for you to get a business debit card. So let's go to the next slide. And by preloaded, all I mean is more money. You can have money preloaded to cover you. So account services. We have our standard savings accounts and our certificates of the deposit. The savings accounts will show your lender that you are reserving cash for unexpected need. And that helps if you need a loan, or if you have a loan, if you need an extension. A lot of times, small business companies will have to go back to their banking institutions to get money for things they hadn't accounted for, particularly the new companies. There are also certificates of deposits that can be used as loan collateral to build your credit history, your business credit history. So just keep that in mind. This is really, if you have any investments or something, and then you may say, oh, it's a small amount, the banking institution may appreciate you offering up what we refer to as collateral, okay? Next slide. So additional banking services, your banks actually, and sometimes your credit unions will have payroll services that will support your business. Easier record keeping, retirement workers' compensation, insurance payments, federal and state taxes, meaning the reports for each employee. You need to ask the questions. And I would say, if I were you, I would not visit any less than 6 banking institutions to see what they have available, because they will differ. And so you need to have a little chart for yourself so that you can identify the services that will help you as a potential business owner. Also, the payroll services are one, and also they can do direct deposit to employee accounts. They can help you set that up. They can also separate your payroll account from your operating account, because you don't want to mix the money that you have set aside to pay for your people with your operating money for operating a business. That's hard to manage. It's easier and it's smarter to have them separate. One thing you don't want to do is start your business with 2 fabulous people. I think it was Marielle that mentioned she had folks helping her with her flowers. You want to make sure that you don't lose your people, right? So you want to set up a payroll account that you know the bank or banking institution is going to help you manage so your employees get paid. And then the other service is a zero balance feature to manage payroll and avoid fraud. So you want to make sure that at the end of the day, if you are at a zero balance, somebody's notifying you and you know that you have to provide some more funds there, but it also will alert you of fraud as well. Next slide. Additional banking services. So you want to manage cash by discussing your options with your bank, keeping detailed records, reporting all of your cash income, and considering remitting or wire transferring services from a bank. That's for your protection. The other thing you want to focus on is increasing sales by using merchant services. So remember, we talked about earlier those credit and debit cards, the point of sale card reader terminals, and marketing support are available with that bank you want to do business with. You can leverage gift or prepaid cards to pay for services, and also online payments for orders that you may have for your business. Next slide. Additional banking services, financial and credit education. This particular slide will probably serve you the most after you leave the session today. And so Ms. Juanita, as she's done in the past, she will provide you with the PowerPoint presentation so that you don't have to try to digest all of this in one setting. You can start small and gradually work your way up. So just know that there are services out here to help you. Financial and credit education, you can find training or counseling at the Small Business Association, otherwise known as SBA.gov, or the Financial Deposit Institution Corporation, and that's FDIC.gov/MoneySmart. The other thing available to you are reports on accounts and transactions. So online, downloadable in various formats. There's certain things you can pull online or from the computer. There's compatibility with accounting software. You may want to work with or touch base with a small accountant to help you with that, at least just to get you started. And then they have accounts and transactions related to personal and business finances. And so these types of reports will be reports that you'll want to have. So when you get ready to file your income tax, revenue, and things like that, the reports comport with the IRS. Okay, so let's go into additional banking services. Next slide. So tips for reconciling your accounts. For you guys, you've had a lot of financial literacy courses. And so I think you can see clearly here how important it is to reconcile your accounts monthly at a minimum for your business. You should be doing this by now. You should be doing this regularly, routinely, no less than monthly for your personal account. And I'm going to encourage you, if you're looking to start a small business, to get your personal finances together first. You don't want to jump out there and try to start a business, but financially, from a personal perspective, you haven't met some of the goals. One in particular would be having some sort of emergency fund in case something goes awry. You want to work with your bank to address discrepancies or suspicious activity immediately. If you have an account and you're reconciling it and you see something, again, this is whether it's your personal account and or business account. Verify the amounts paid for checks with the amounts you wrote them for, and retain reports from remote deposit scanner software. And that's really all about just making sure that you don't use scanners from somebody you don't know. So you want to get your own, or you want to deal with a legitimate company. I think Staples and all those kind of use them, which is something I think you may want to consider. Next slide. Key points to remember in section 1. Build a banking relationship early on. That's a must for you, not an if, or it's a must-have for you. Choose a bank based on an assessment of its resources, including customer service, technology, and services for small business owners. Ensure the ways to access your funds and transactions are secure. Consider the features as well as the risk associated with those business savings accounts and business debit cards. You want to read the fine print on them. Increase your business efficiency through banking services such as payroll, cash management, and merchant processing. And reconcile accounts as a cybersecurity measure. And so we've talked about this in our personal finances, how important it is, because there's so many people that have access to our information, our personal information. We will have that same issue with businesses. Okay, next slide. So key points to remember, don't forget, you're going to get this. You want to go out and look and search on both of those websites, particularly the SBA, because the SBA specializes in small businesses and they have a plethora of information available. So let's go into section 2. Any questions about something in section 1 before we start with section 2? Anything difficult, easy? How's it going? What you expected? All right, everybody's quiet today.
Yes, there's no questions. I just
okay, good. All right. So section 2, financing options and sources. We're going to learn about financing options, which is a big thing, like I said earlier, for small businesses. Financing sources, financing readiness. So we'll learn about the 5 C's of credit, loan readiness checklist, and understanding the cost of financing a small business. Next slide. So here are options: savings, gifts, and informal loans. A lot of times people want to set up a business and the grandfather or someone says, I've been saving money because I've been watching you and I felt you were going to need it one day. So that's a gift, right? Or maybe you personally have started saving and you have enough money to at least jump out there and get started. Secondly, there are term or installment loans. And so we've talked about these in other sessions. They're just for businesses, but there are loans where the term is a steady term amount that you will pay every month. That's all that's about. That's that installment loan. You will pay the same amount every month after you get that loan for your business. Lines of credit and credit cards, same thing. They function just as they do for you today. The only thing is the line of credit is there for the business person. And those can be really helpful to take you over the hump if you have or run into some trouble. It's going to be difficult for you to get the line of credit and or the credit card if you don't maintain a good relationship with the banking institution and they know you and trust you and believe you to be credible. Special purpose loans, that could be anything from needing a loan to simply buy a piece of equipment. If you're in a trucking business or something like that, there's a special purpose loan for certain types of things that business owners may need. And then other financing options are just what they are. They may have a what do you call it? A special at the bank or the institution for the month for business owners. So there'll be different types of financing options. Next slide. So financing options, number one form of financing used by startups. So this is just saying that the savings, gifts, and informal loans, the one I mentioned that Grandpa helped with, that's the number one form of people who are starting up their business. The number one thing that they use would be savings, gifts, and informal loans from family and friends. The gifts may be counted as business capital. Payments toward informal loans or investments by family, friends, or other individuals must be part of your cash flow. So all that's saying is, don't go out here and think that you're going to get some money from your family and friends and start your business and you're not going to pay them back. That's money you're supposed to be able to pay back at a certain date in time, whatever you've agreed upon with the family member, just like you would a banker. You can get yourself in trouble if someone has signed an agreement with you and that's what you agreed to do. So be fair to family and friends, just like you would a banker. Next slide. Financing options, term or loan installment loan. So the loan amount is $1,500, the monthly payment is $120, and you will pay it off in 15 months. And so they're just giving you an example of how you could leverage an installment loan. One of the ladies who was talking about the flowers that she sells, you know, $1,500 that may have helped her get X number of flowers to sell and maybe make money and double her money. So you may want to look at a term or an installment loan. These are funds. These funds, once received, they're applied and you have to get approved for them, but it's a one-shot reimbursement. So that's why they use the $1,500. That one disbursement was $1,500. And then it says you set an amount and period of time. That's the term, right? So most people would like it to be monthly because you're bringing in receipts from the business, and by the end of the month, you may have the money to pay off the $120, which is your installment payment, and then you can use the rest for the business. Repaid in installments with interest. So we all have already learned through other sessions that you're going to pay interest anytime you're borrowing something from a lender. The purpose, financing purchase of assets, that's really why you are being given the loan. It's to finance things that you need, assets that you need to help you manage and run the business. The installment loan can be secured by assets to be purchased, and the new application required for additional funds is something that you would have to think about after you got your business up and running and the business is growing well and you need more money to help you continue to function well. Next slide. Financing options, lines of credit. You have what's known as drawers. You can repay money that you've drawn. You have draw funds available to you. This is all tied to a revolving line of credit. If you have a credit card and you've done well managing it over a few years, you likely have what's known as a revolving line of credit, or the banking institution or credit institution has reached out to you to see if you need one. And so that just means maybe you started off with $3,000 on your credit card or $2,000 and you managed it well. Then the credit card company says, you know, we're going to give you a line of credit. And so now you're going to get $3,000. And then as you get better, you look up one day, they've made it, now it's $5,000. So that's the revolving line of credit. They're generally secured. It could be the credit line itself, or it could be in the form of a credit card. They are used to finance your business expenses. They require annual credit review and renewal based on performance, meaning the length of time you've had the business, your tax returns, your personal and business credit reports, which are not the same. So you have a personal credit score and a business credit score. No lump sum disbursement at opening. Monthly payments are based on outstanding balance. Okay. So that's just letting you know they're not handing over the money to you. They're putting it on the loan or the card. So even if paying on time, it can be closed by the bank. I don't understand that question. Why would someone do that?
So what you're saying is that the bank reviews your bank account every month or your every year. It reviews the credit line, right?
Yes.
So let's say that you've been paying on time, but your records show that you're not making a profit. Would they close it?
I think it will depend on the bank before they close it automatically. I think that you may get a letter from them indicating their concern and notifying you that if you don't do something like come in, get a bigger line of credit or address the delinquency or whatever it is, they're going to close it.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Next slide. So financing options, we talked about those business credit cards and the lines. So this is just a different one. The liability for unauthorized use of credit cards can be greater for business credit cards than for consumers. So this is really just a cuidado situation, right? Be careful, because it's one thing when you do something like that, you go over your limit on your personal credit card. It's another whole thing in the business space. Because you are a business owner, there's more scrutiny on you. And so you need to know that and understand that as you are functioning as a business owner, okay? So there'll be more attention, the IRS will pay more attention, and the bank will pay more attention, and anybody that provides you with the loan is going to pay more attention. So the lines of credit and credit cards are similar to what we've talked about. Your use of these requires full payment of balance at the end of the grace period or month to avoid paying interest. Rarely reported. They don't want you to have a lot of consumer credit. And but they rarely, it says rarely reported to Consumer Credit Bureau unless your account is delinquent. So they usually give it to you. They don't bother you. They let you run your business unless you start showing them that, as Ms. Juanita, I think that was that asked the question, that you're struggling and you're having problems and you can't really meet your obligations. So that's when you're going to see them get into your business by letting everybody know, hey, there's a problem here with this particular business owner. And the line of credit and credit cards can be used for various authorized users, but you guys know, again, as the asterisk states, liability for unauthorized use of credit cards can be greater for business credit cards than for consumer. So that's a long way of telling you, if you get a business credit card and it has your name on it, you need to keep it for yourself and use it for yourself. Okay, you don't want to pass that out to folks. Number one, they're unauthorized. That's going to be a problem for you. And number two, if something happens and they've used more than allowed, you're going to have a bigger problem. So just keep that in mind. Next slide. So financing options. So this one is looking to give us an example of how a special purpose loan might work. And the special purpose is this particular owner is a, what do you call them? Juanita, I'm trying to blank. Oh, he's a farmer. He's a farmer. So, so he has like agricultural stuff. He has crops, livestock, farm machinery. He has a manufacturer for the equipment needs of his manufacturing companies. A loan guarantee program is available for him for veterans and military members. So these are all the different types of loans that are referred to as special purpose. And if you are a farmer, you could get this agricultural loan. You could probably also get the manufacturing one. If you're a farmer who was in the military, you could get the agricultural manufacturer and maybe even the veteran one. Loan guarantee programs for people who are importers and exporters. And then there is also one for businesses, which is referred to as a disaster loan. And we see those when around the country we have major natural disasters. Once the president declares that it is a presidentially declared major disaster, FEMA will kick in with loans, and SBA, they'll work together for small business owners, okay? So if you're going into agriculture and manufacturing, you'll see a lot of things in that space because there's a need for more folks to do so. And then veterans and military, you can imagine why we want to support them in the federal government. And then you have the importers and exporters and the disaster loans. So those are just examples of special purpose loans. Next slide. Financing options, leasing, financing inventory, factoring, credit card sale loans and advances, and financing receivables. So these are other options. So maybe you need to lease that hefty equipment that feeds corn to an animal. Maybe, so you have a financing inventory, loan secured by inventory, usually used to meet fluctuating seasonal cash needs. The lady that talked about the flowers, I would think that when it's the holidays or Valentine's Day, or even during the spring and summer when people are getting married, there may be a need for more flowers. So there's a financing inventory where you could secure the loan by inventory, and it usually used to help meet your fluctuating cash needs because of the influx of people purchasing flowers at a given time. Factoring, selling accounts receivable at a discount to third parties. Here, there'll be different parties that you work with to actually keep your business flowing. So that's factoring. And then credit card sale loans and merchant cash advances. We've talked about quite a bit, but they're upfront funds in exchange for a portion or future portion of your revenue. And then you have financing receivables, and receivables are just advances on credit that's specifically secured by accounts receivables. Next slide. So government programs for small businesses, this is one you want to focus on when you get this from Ms. Juanita. It goes into a little more detail for you that the SBA does have guaranteed lending programs. Participating lenders make and service those term loans and lines of credit for you, which the SBA extends a guarantee of repayment. So what they're saying is the United States federal government has established a Small Business Administration to support small businesses because small businesses really prop up the economy. And as a result, to get these lenders, they call them as participating lenders, to get them involved and to get them to support and provide you as a potential small business owner with a loan, they guarantee on your behalf to that participating lender that they will pay your loan off. The SBA will make sure that if you fall behind or default on your loan, and they, you know, the lender is gonna shut you off, they pay the lender, the federal government, through all of our taxes. So that's a special program to help small businesses. Also, the guarantee for lenders allows them to approve loans that they otherwise probably would not touch. And so that's a good thing, because that means there is even greater help for you. And then it also says the SBA microloan program provides direct loans and grants to nonprofit micro lenders to make loans of up to $50,000. And so that's a program where they're trying to get more people to actually maybe offer out products and things. And so this is something that I'm not fully aware of, but my understanding is that the idea here is if you need a certain amount of money, you may need more than what the other two programs will allow. So that's probably going to be a group of people working together, small businesses. Next slide. Government programs for small businesses. So we have more. So the agriculture has some. I'm aware of those that they may have for like farmers. I had a dear friend who was interested in farming, and his family did some farming, and he told me that they leveraged the RD, which is part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You have the United States Department of Treasury. They have grants to support small business lenders and technical assistance providers. There, when you get those grants, you usually don't have to pay them back, but you do have to complete probably a pretty hefty application to get the loan. And then you have the United States Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency, and this is for minorities, and this is also technical assistance to entrepreneurs through a nationwide network. Again, when you get to Treasury and Commerce, those programs are going to be of a heftier nature and have more requirements associated with them. All right. Next slide. Government programs for small business. Check around. I always say shop around. Your local government as well as your state probably has some opportunities for support in the small business space, particularly if you are a minority, they probably will have something. Then you have local and federal government agencies that we talked about. Usually they'll have an Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, which helps small businesses get government contracts. Now, I can speak to this because I've done this for a long time. In my past, I always had business contracts for companies that could take properties and get them prepared to sell on behalf of the FHA, the Federal Housing Administration. And so what the United States president does is he requires each agency under the United States federal government to have an Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And what they do is when I'm telling them, hey, I've got a contract that I'm getting ready to let, they will send, or maybe I have 5 or 6 over the year that I'm gonna hire people for, they will send small businesses to meet with me to have an understanding of what type of services I have available. And so just think about that as you are putting up your business. For flowers and different things like that, there may not be a match, but if you're an accountant, certainly you want to focus on this. Let's see what else. If you are a policy writer, anything that you have an understanding about what a particular government agency does, if it's something you think you can lend support to, maybe even technology is a big one. You want to do that, creating websites or whatever, but you should go online and search for small business. What do they have, like, I forget the name of them. They have these events where they're for small businesses to just come out, meet other small businesses, and then talk about and bring their portfolio and share their information. So that it's a really good one. This last one, like I said, I'm familiar with, and I've picked up a number of contractors through the U.S. Department of HUD's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. So you want to check into that. Next slide. So the spectrum of financing options and resources, as you can tell, is pretty large. It's hard to view this slide, but what they're really focused on is age, and they're trying to tell you this is where you want to start. And then it's through gradation. So it's not the best slide, but it's talking about your financing options, your lending options, and which ones are traditional, non-traditional. And then they're talking about the success of your business and how you would leverage this particular slide. Next slide. So this one is a little better, where it's telling you the financing sources by the stage of your business. So normally when you start up, you're using what we talked about as those personal savings from family and friends or your own money. And then when you get to that early stage, you still, family and friends are still there with you. When you get to that maturing stage, you have crowdfunding capital and peer-to-peer lending platforms. So those are organizations that you'll learn about when you go to a banker that will help you understand how you can grow your money, because your business is maturing over X number of years. And now you've grown to a place where people really trust you, but that also means your growth requires more funding. And so that's where you're going to see that. And then you have established. So when you get to the established part, you have the loan marketplace and high-level lenders like a fintech or a venture capital fund that will be offering you money, or you may have to fill out a loan agreement or apply for it like an angel investor. These are the type of institutions that are seeking to help small businesses as well. And then you also have community development, financial institutions, and nonprofit lenders. We've talked about that. And we've also talked about the banks and the credit unions, how they can help you. But that's when you really are getting into being established for a length of time. So that's just a sample for you of other services you can leverage. Love that. So don't forget the US, and I can't pronounce it, is it ACON? That was on the screen. Let's go to the next slide. We're almost done.
It's Axiom.
Axiom, okay. Next slide.
I just changed it.
Oh, sorry. I missed that. Improving your chances of getting a business loan. So this is a good one. You want to focus on this because you have to write in a certain way. And I hear from small businesses often saying, oh, Ms. Himes, I tried, and I was trying to get one of your contracts and I never could get it. And I always would recommend to people to get someone to help them evaluate their business proposition and review it and help them. So strengthen your personal and business credit history first. Separate your personal funds from your business finances. Understand the 5 C's of credit. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and build those banking relationships because you're going to need all of it. So let's go to the next slide. Improving your chances of getting that business loan, personal and business credit history. Your personal credit relevant even if you have business credit history. So they're going to focus on both. Now you can imagine if you can't manage your money well and have good credit, you know that's going to hurt you probably going to get a business loan. But if you just had a blip and it was a time and something happened and you got over it and you've now improved your credit, again, you should have a chance. Credit scores are used to assess whether to extend credit, determine how much credit you should get, and establish the interest rate they'll set for you. Just know that when you're working with banks, those interest rates are going to be higher because you're a business than it would be if you were just buying, just getting a normal loan, installment loan. Resources if you don't have credit or need to rebuild your personal and business credit are consumerfinance.gov and SBA.gov. I recommend that you use those and don't try to hire someone to help you because these folks have been approved and sanctioned by the United States government, and they're not going to scam you or take any of your money. Next slide. Improving your chances of getting a business loan. So you see this man, he seems to be really happy with his flowers and whatnot. You want to keep your business and personal transactions separate. You want to avoid commingling. That's all it means, is keeping things separate. Commingling means you're trying to add your personal finances with the business finances. That's a problem. You're going to have a problem with the IRS, and you probably have problems with some people worse than the IRS. Maintain accurate bookkeeping. Make sure it's separate again from anything else you have. And always, always consult with not just a tax advisor. When you're doing business, you want to consult with a good tax advisor that has ample experience to help you, okay? Because they can keep you out of trouble, and they can also help you in terms of making sure that you follow the rules for business companies. Next slide. Improving your chances of getting that loan. Here are the 5 C's we've been talking about. Capacity, ability to repay the loan. Collateral, security. If you have to put down $5,000 before they give you $10,000, you might have to sign off on something else. Credit history, credit performance of the owner and the business. So it's not just you, it's how the business is run as well. Conditions, terms of the loan and the business environment, and character, which is your reputation, your integrity, and all of that. And you will probably need, I can guarantee you, references from different people. So as you're doing business, particularly with merchants or the United States federal government or a local government, try to have someone give you a nice reference. So you will have references in your portfolio as you seek to become a business owner. So when you get back your time today, you want to focus on how you're going to rate yourself on each one of these 5 criteria, okay? Because these are the things that anybody who's going to do business with you is going to focus on. Next slide. Key points to remember: types of financing will include oftentimes your own savings. That's to get you going, right? Understand the features of different loan products. That helps you evaluate financial options. You can qualify for government programs. There are many out there. You just got to stay vigilant and you got to focus on it. And you might need to get somebody to help you write up your presentation or your justification for that loan. And also you should evaluate the benefits and risk of non-bank financing. So all that's saying is, if you think you can go out here and go it alone, you don't need a bank or somebody backing you with your business. I would say that's pretty risky, but so just be careful. Make sure you talk to a tax accountant about that as well. Next slide. Key points to remember: improve your chances of getting a loan by understanding the credit histories for personal and business loans. Strategically develop the 5 C's of credit. You may have 3 of those and you don't have to worry about, so then you only have 2 to focus on. Maintaining separate personal and business records. We've spoken about that to death. And preparing before contacting a lender. This is key. This is key. If you want to be a small business owner, you don't want to walk into a lender without a portfolio or something that you've already prepared. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it needs to be something that you've taken the time to put together to show them that you're serious, what your plans are. And you may want to have at least 2 or 3 so you can hand that off if you're meeting with a group of people trying to get a loan. Resources. Your resources are always going to be, your best ones are going to be the government resources, federal, state, and local small business financing checklist. That's online. You can find that easily. And the loan readiness checklist is online as well. Those which will be with the Small Business Administration. Next slide. Avoiding fraud and scams. Businesses need to avoid fraud and scams. Banks can help you with it though, because regulated financial institutions, they're subject to customer information security. So they have requirements, just like I have requirements at work where I have to secure private information, Social Security, name and address, things like that, any identifiable information. So ask about the following. Ask that bank or whoever you're doing business with about how secure their access are, their protocols are. Tips to avoid forged checks. How can you, as the owner of a company who may be getting a check from someone, avoid getting a forged check? Because that's money you've lost, right? Protecting business credit cards, how you have a business credit card, how you should protect that card for your business, and protocols on reconciling your accounts. A good accountant will help you with that last one. Next slide. So when you get back to your regular time today and you have some time at home, go through these resources to help you avoid fraud and scams. You can see this was produced by the FBI, so you can count on it. And the next slide is from, this one is the same thing. It's also the federal government, but it's the Federal Trade Commission that has done the same thing. They're providing you with tips on how to make sure that you don't get scammed, or helping you avoid fraud. And then the last one is for you to talk to Ms. Juanita and me about any final questions that you have. What have you learned, and how would you evaluate the training? Ms. Juanita, you may want to take over, but this.
Sure, I know. Thank you, Ivory. I appreciate it. I know we went over a little, folks, and thanks for those of you that were able to stay on. There's a lot of great information. This is a 3-part series. So next week on the 17th, we are doing planning for a healthy business. And that's more of creating your business plan and how you want to start moving towards setting up your business. So we look forward to seeing you all there. I will be sending out the recording later on today. for any of you that need any of the resources that are on there. And if you have any questions on anything else, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Was the whole thing recorded before you guys leave?
I'm sorry?
Was it recorded, the whole thing? I missed it, half of it. Yeah.
It was recorded. I'll send it out to everybody. I have the recording. Once I stop it, it'll be.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.